Welcome to Drinks in the Library, the only library where drinks aren't just allowed, they are required. I'm your librarian host, Gigi Howard, and each episode I'll be interviewing a guest about a much-loved book that we will be pairing with a drink for you to enjoy along with us or consider for your next book club meetup. As always, stay curious and support your local library. Hello, Libration Nation. Our book this week is Catwings, and it's whimsical and heartwarming by beloved author Ursula K. Le Guin. The story follows 4 ordinary kittens born with an extraordinary gift. They have wings. As they set out to find a safe place in this world, the kittens discover both the beauty and the challenges of being different. And this story is beloved by my guest this week, the amazing Dr. Julia Skinner. She is a food writer whose work includes the award-winning book, Our Fermented Lives. She is the founder of the Culinary Curiosity School, and she also runs Root, a food-focused community and consulting organization offering classes, consulting on creative projects, a weekly newsletter, and more. She's also the founder of Roots and Branches, where she coaches other writers to help them find their voice and share their most important work with the world. All right, and as a wonderful special treat for Libration Nation, use the code DRINKSPOD for 30% off anything at both the Culinary Curiosity School and Roots and Branches. So Julia, being a culinary queen, of course, made us 2 amazing cocktails, and I have them both in the show notes. The first is a simple cat lovers cocktails, and the second one is the Catwings cocktail for the more adventurous among us. And one last thing, if you are in the DC, Georgetown area, I am so excited to give you the first information that I will be hosting a live event with my friends at LaFleur at their Georgetown location on October 28th. So more info about that will be coming. It will also be in collaboration with Old Town Books and their location there at LaFleur in Georgetown. So more info to come, but go ahead and mark it on the calendar. All right, let's get to it. Julia, I'm super pumped to be with you here today. Also, okay, in honor of where you are right now, I wore green and I see you're wearing green. Where are you?
I am in Ireland, where I live half the year. I'm in Cork, which is in the southwest.
How do you spend your time while you're in Cork?
So I am a writer as well as I own several businesses, but they're all online. So I just kind of have my normal work schedule and all of that during the week. And for fun, I live thankfully walking distance from downtown or from city center, which is nice because I don't have a car over here. And we're not that far from the beach. And so I'll go to the beach. I'm going today. It's, I think, 50 or 60 degrees out and raining. So I'll be at the beach in the rain, but we sit in a sauna afterwards. So
Yeah.
it's okay. Yeah, it's a little better. Yeah, but it's fun.
I saw that on Bad Sisters. They go to the beach and then they go sit in the sauna afterwards. Have you seen that show?
I've not. I've been recommended it before, but I've never seen it.
Season 1
Someday.
is pretty wild.
Awesome. Well, we'll have to check it out.
Yeah. So I know you through our connections with librarianship. You have your PhD in librarianship. Kudos to you for that.
Thank you.
But you wear many hats. So I wanted to kind of dive into that with you a little bit.
Yeah. So I don't even remember when you and I met. It was a long time ago when I still worked in libraries. Yeah, but I got my PhD in library science from Florida State. I got my master's and a certificate from the Center for the Book from University of Iowa. So very embedded sort of academically with librarianship for a while. Went on to work with rare books and special collections, and that was my thing for a while. And then teaching at library schools. in 2018, I left that job and I didn't have any other job lined up. And that was, terrifying. But,
And freeing.
and freeing, also
Yeah.
freeing and terrifying, but mostly freeing. But I realized I was like, well, I don't have anything else lined up. This is the one time I might ever have to create my own job description other than trying to be like, oh, I fit into somebody else's job description. So I did, and here we are. It worked. It was a little touch and go there for a minute, but it all worked out in the end. So now I write books, food history, cookbooks, stuff like that. I do writing, coaching, and what started out as doing coaching for academic writers has sort of blossomed into doing work with creatives more generally in a more holistic way. So now I work with just all kinds of folks, which is great, but also still with academics. And that's very fun. Yeah, I teach culinary classes. I own an online culinary school. So yeah, that's good
And
stuff.
okay, and so we're getting to the book in just a second, but I'm so interested in the creativity side of it. So now we're into the culinary school. So how does that tie in?
I've always been really interested in food and food history, but it never felt like a viable thing for me to do research wise or when I was in academia. And I did some work with like historic cookbooks and stuff. Now, I kind of got more into it as I left academia full time. I still, always have a foot in there, but now I do the culinary classes because I was trying to find a way to teach people who weren't necessarily in the same town as me and to offer that sort of educational experience even when I'm traveling also. So now most of the classes, they're online and most of them are self-paced, but they're made to be more engaging than just, okay, here's a video. It's like watching the Food Network or something. It's like something it's got more to it. So
Very
that's kind of
cool.
why I started it. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. All right, and you have lived such a creative life, and talking about like the freedom of that just brought me to our book today, which I'm holding.
Yes.
You can see it. I have it's Ursula Le Guin, Catwings, which is the cutest book I have ever seen in my whole life. The illustrations. So tell us about Catwings. Who were you when you first read this whimsical tale?
Yeah, so Catwings I first encountered, oh gosh, I was probably like 6 or 7 maybe. I was a kiddo. And there's four different books in the series. I have three of them. The other one I couldn't get, but it's out there. But they're wonderful. I mean, they're very small books. They're very, it takes you like, 20 minutes to read it or something, but it's great for, kids at about that age and maybe a little bit older. But even as an adult, I was rereading it because I hadn't reread it for a long time and I was rereading it and kind of reconnecting with the feelings that I felt when I first encountered it, which was it was sort of that like freedom and that like suspension of disbelief that I think is a little easier for us to feel when we're kids. And so it was nice to tap back into that and be like, oh yeah, like meeting old friends again. It was very nice.
Yeah. How did that feel as an adult to reconnect to it and to think about how things have changed between childhood and adulthood?
Yeah, I mean, it was surprisingly sentimental and surprisingly not bad emotional, but just, oh, feelings. Like I'm having them. Because, yeah, I mean, these characters, I'm gonna like give a bunch of things of the book away, but you just like with most stories, there's moments where you're like, are they in peril? Will they, whatever? And so you're very invested in the characters. And even knowing that everybody would be okay, still rereading it, I felt like all of the old feelings I felt the first time I read it. And that was kind of interesting. And so it was interesting too to kind of think about the child me that first encountered that. Like I sort of had this moment of being like, I wonder what like she would do if she encountered me now. What would that be like? And yeah, it was like, I think she'd be pretty jazzed. I think she'd, what I've done with my kind of weird cobbled together career and all of that. So very good.
Yeah, I think that's so important. I was thinking about that actually recently of would like the child version of myself be impressed with the adult version? And I have a 10-year-old and I know how sort of like skeptical they can be of any adult.
Right.
So, but yeah, I think at the end of the day, we're all I mean, that's a great thing to connect and getting into the story a little bit.
Yeah.
So I will just lead us in on the cover, and I just have the first book. It's four cats. They have wings, and they're sitting in a tree, and they're adorable. So who are these? Who are these creatures?
So these are cats who were born in a city to a wingless mother cat who for some reason just has a bunch of kittens with wings. It's never really explained like biologically or
Hmm.
anything like how this came to pass. But you kind of just read it and accept that there are cats that have wings and you're like, okay, fine. That's just a thing that's happening now. And so you meet the mom and the winged kittens kind of hanging out in the city. And it's one of those sort of stories where somebody or somebodies are going on a quest and finding themselves, like that sort of archetype of story. So the mom's like, you have wings, you can literally like leave, like you could fly away from this, like, why don't you do that? And so thus they embark on this big adventure and
Hmm.
they go out to try to find a safe place to call home that's outside of the city.
Yeah. So let's jump into the story a little bit. I so our cats' names are Thelma, Harriet, Roger, and James. And so they're in the city and then they fly off. And then I guess that's where the adventure starts.
Yeah, yeah, and there's kind of this, yeah, they fly off, and I guess there's both in the city and then when they leave. It's not one of those stories where it's just like everybody's having a little adventure and everything's great. Like it's not like nail-bitingly perilous, but it's honest about the fact that like these cats are, sometimes kind of having a rough time as they're kind of
Yeah.
moving through things.
It's sort of like the Boxcar Children kind of reminded me of that. It's like these kids, they're out. It's pretty dangerous because they're children, but they're out and they're having adventures. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I hadn't drawn that parallel before, but yeah, absolutely. I feel that kind of a story where you're like, wow, like why you're like 10. Why are you just like out in like an abandoned train car like doing what is happening right now?
Gathering blueberries.
Right. I mean, like good on you, but you okay? Yeah. Yeah, I like that parallel a lot. That's good.
And also the mother, it sort of kicks off, it's very sort of pre-millennial parenting, I guess. The mom is just like, well, I found a new husband and it's time for you to leave.
Right, right. She's like, what? The city's dangerous. Like, also, I want to shack up with this dude. Yeah, there's no helicopter mothering happening here.
No, she's gone.
Yeah. I mean, and you see in the later books that she's thrilled to see them all again. They reunite in the future and it's like very touching and heartwarming. And she's like, oh my God, I've missed you so much. But yeah, you can tell that she loves them, but is also kind of ready to maybe not have four kittens that can fly under her feet all the time.
It'd be tough. It's tough.
It would be a little exhausting, I think, especially if you can't fly and you're just like, okay, come down from the rafters and like what you can't do anything about it.
Yeah. I see you have your copy, and I wanted to ask if there were like any particular scenes that you love that you would like to share with us today.
Yeah, let me do a little flip through. I also just really love the illustrations in this. I know we're like,
Yes.
on a podcast and not on like video,
Yeah.
but the illustrations are really nice. Like they were the thing that I think really drew me to these books when I was a
Yeah.
kid.
The illustrations are beautiful. They are by
Schindler.
Schindler. Oh,
Schindler. I mean, I don't actually
Schindler
know how this
Schindler.
person pronounced their name, but yes, they're a very good illustrator.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, there's many different points in this short book, but I'll kind of hold up the page that is sticking out to me because when we're talking about that like sense of freedom, but also kind of the like danger component, there's this. They've left the city, they're flying out on their own to their next adventure. They're trying to catch fish and sort of navigate survival in ways that are different. So they have dinner, one of them catches a fish, and so they say after dinner they curled up again under a bush and fell asleep. But first Thelma, then Roger, then James, and then small Harriet would lift their head, open an eye, listen a moment on guard. They knew they had come to a much better place than the alley, but they also knew that every place is dangerous, whether you're a fish or a cat or even a cat with wings.
Yeah.
Which I think is interesting because like children's books don't normally say that. And for kids, kids like me who had like aspects of their childhoods that didn't feel safe, there was something really comforting in that honesty that I didn't have to be like everything's sunshine and roses, but I'm in this really scary church. It's no, things are dangerous and we'll acknowledge it. And I was like,
Hmm.
oh, like and I think that's part of why maybe I was drawn to it, and also that it's cats and I'm, a big cat fan also. But that honesty of life can have nuance, and you can exist and thrive even though the world isn't always safe was really nice. Like it was a really good message.
And that kind of leads me to think about the tendency now to shield children from stories that might hint, like you were saying, there's any kind of danger,
Hmm.
but like you kind of were just talking about the experience of being a child and having real experiences, seeing
Hmm.
yourself reflected in a story. What's that like and what's the value of it, I guess?
Yeah, well, and I think so. I was raised in an evangelical church that's on like all the like cult watch lists and all of that. It was a very intense childhood.
Okay.
Like my
Okay.
parents were like for people in that kind of an environment, my parents were incredibly science minded and chill compared to many of the other people in that space. So I was very lucky in that way. But yeah, it made it so that, 5 days a week, because we went to church like 5 days a week, which was absolutely bananas and not my favorite. But spending so much time there, it was like this huge part of my life. It was like that and school were kind of the two primary contexts that I had for living. And I grew up in Boulder, Colorado in the 80s and 90s. And so it was like all these, it's not like everybody's stoned or something, but there were in my neighborhood, at least a lot of people who were like, stoned hippie kids and stuff, which was great, was normal to me, but then was in weird, stark contrast to this other space. And so it was interesting to me to encounter a story that was like each of these contexts provides different. I don't know. I don't think it's even necessarily different dangers, but different ways of living and experiencing the world. And really honestly having a space, like just having somewhere where I could even say something can be a thing people consider good and still be dangerous was really important for me. Because I had no other way to express that. So yeah, like for 6, 7 year old Julia, that was like a very powerful thing to just have some place to put that emotion and then process it later in many years of therapy. But to have a place to set it at the time was good.
Yeah. Yeah. One thing with my thought with starting this podcast is seeing books that people are banning. I don't know if Catwings would have been on the list, right?
Hmm.
I am concerned where we're trying to eliminate any kind of stories where people are reflected that the people are making the decisions.
Hmm.
They don't want their child to even imagine that is possible, but
Yeah.
not thinking of the child where that's already their reality.
Yeah. Well, and if they are, they're thinking about, I think, more getting that child to conform to the reality they want. The church that I was raised in was very much like, this is the only way. Like, even other people who were Christians were going to hell because they weren't members of this church. Like, they were very specific. And so for them, they'd be like, oh, well, obviously, I need to get my kid to conform to this. And I wonder if that's part of the banning thing, too, is like something with that. Oh, you like a warped way of trying to provide protection because their own worldview is kind of, not rooted in shared reality, maybe in the same way.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, I don't want to get off topic. Have you read Dinner for Vampires yet?
I haven't, no.
Okay, that's about a cult That it's really good, but it's kind of like you're saying, it's like a Christian cult and they gets
Mhm.
pulled in and anyway, you should read it.
Especially now that I'm like a grown up and like
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. But yes, I do think there's something in there of wanting the child to conform, but then also protect them, but then what about everybody else?
I know.
I think it's a good time to bring up the drink. What are we drinking?
So I made a couple different drink recipes because since I develop recipes, like my mind is immediate, oh, we'll do this one with all these steps. And I'm like, but not everybody's going to want to do the one with all the steps. So then I also offered another one that was basically like a Kentucky Mule with herbal syrup in it. The one that I made it has this herbal tea in it that's got some like calming different herbs in it. So it kind of like chills you out a little bit. And gin, which I like.
Yeah.
And an herbal syrup that's lemon balm, which is also in herbalism is like a really good nervine, really relaxing. And so part of why I chose these herbs is one, they're delicious, but also it's nice because these books were and are very comforting for me. So it's kind of like some herbs that sort of facilitate that kind of comfort and chill things out a little bit. And just also, I was trying to think of flavors that sort of emulated, their move into the country and the sort of variety of like smells and sights and flavors they might have seen, except for the gin. I don't know if these cats drink gin, but
So I know lemon balm, but what other herbs would you recommend for making the real drink? Because
yeah.
I made a simple syrup and I put lemon balm and I had fresh mint and I let it seep overnight. So it's very good.
And that's like really good for your digestion too. So if anybody listening is, I don't know, having a digestive moment, like that's really good for that as well. I do. So I'm just pulling up the recipe so I like don't speak out of turn. But the herbal tea that I use for the like more complex one has catnip because cats,
Yeah.
chamomile, angelica, and elecampane. So there's a bit of like floral and bitter kind of is basically the flavor profile of that. You can do whatever you want with that. You don't need to make it the way I did. You could also substitute a drop of bitters if you wanted to do that instead. For the syrup, though, I mean, really, like the playing field's really wide open. I probably wouldn't use rosemary or thyme because they would like overpower everything else. But basil, mint, mountain mint, which is a native mint to the area where I live in the US, so like the Southeast. Yeah, lemon balm. Like anything in the mint family would be good. Catnip actually makes a nice syrup if you like. And catnip's also, it makes our cats go nuts, but it's actually really calming for our nervous systems. So,
Okay.
yeah, so like people will drink it to go to sleep, which is kind of funny to me because it's so
Wow.
different. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, or I have one friend who, when her baby was teething, she would make catnip tea and rub it on his gums. And I guess that was supposed to help. So
Huh.
I've never tried that one, so I don't know if it
Okay.
actually works, but
All right.
yeah.
Well, new parents listening to this, try it and report back.
Right. Tell us if it works.
You could do it. You could do your next book is all baby recipes.
There we go. Yeah. Yeah, but really like any herbs are good. Lemon verbena's another if you like lemony stuff, that's another good one. If you like holy basil, tulsi.
Okay.
I really love tulsi and I put it
Okay.
in like everything. So,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
I'm curious, like, what is your gardening life like that you have these herbs around you all the time?
So I have in Atlanta, I have a big garden that's registered as a wildlife habitat and as a firefly habitat, which is pretty cool.
Mhm.
So that's fun. I have a lot. So for years, I did a lot of growing, tomatoes and beans and stuff that like required me to be a little more present and harvesting things more often. Now that I'm like not in the US half the year, obviously that's not as doable. So instead, what I do is I have a lot more herbs, a lot more perennial herbs and like native shrubs and stuff that can support, different like birds and pollinators and things in that yard. And then here in Ireland, my yard is smaller and we're just kind of getting started with getting the yard built up. But I did plant lemon balm. lavender grows really well here. Lavender doesn't usually grow super well in Atlanta, although I found like one plant that grows really well there and it's doing great. Every other
Okay.
one I've ever planted has died, but like it's one lavender.
No, I killed my lavender plant this year. I'm gonna try again.
Oh,
It's okay.
yeah, it can be so finicky. Like when you get it in the right spot with the right amount of sun, it's like it needs nothing. But like
Mhm.
it's finding a place in the yard where it can thrive that I find to be the really difficult part.
Yeah.
But yeah, we have some herbs here. I have currant bushes, but that's about it right now.
Okay.
I have a lot of stinging nettles because I haven't cleared out the side yard, but they're
Uh,
also really good for you. So
oh, good.
yeah, yeah,
Do you do any or container gardening or is it
I do a bit. I have a lemon tree here in a container.
okay?
I used to do a lot more container gardening, but now since I have the yards, I just do the yard because I'm not always great at remembering to water. Container
Same.
gardens kind of need you to be a little more on the ball with that than I am.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then the yard in Atlanta is I've had to like kind of I don't know, trim back a lot of the stuff out front for various reasons. The main reason being my neighbor called code on the yard, which is awful. But
Oh,
yeah,
can we win this person over?
I know. I Everybody else in the neighborhood seems to like it. It's just this one lady. So
Mhm.
yeah, she's pretty awful. But that's
Yeah.
fine. But there's still plenty of herbs and stuff out there, and I'm kind of, navigating that process. I have a court date for it on November 17th, so
Do you have to come back to the US?
I'll already be back by then.
Okay. Okay.
It's right before I get back in October, and then it's before I come back to Ireland. So
Oh.
yeah, but I guess whatever, it'll be what it is. But yeah, that'll be interesting. But yeah,
Okay.
beautiful garden that I love and hopefully get to keep.
Yeah.
But lots of fresh herbs and
Yeah.
things like the lemon verbena and the lemon balm and stuff. I mean, lemon balm, anything in the mint family grows really vigorously. So it's almost more like about containing it than it is being
Yeah.
like, oh no, is it gonna work?
Yeah.
Like,
When I have a mint plant, actually, it's just outside this window on the porch. And, I live in Virginia. And when I bought it, they were like, don't put this in the yard.
yeah,
It'll go crazy. And I mean,
yeah,
that it does. I mean, it never stops growing.
yeah. No, I've got my lemon balm in my yard in the US is like the plant, it's like multiple feet of space and I try to trim it back constantly and it's just nope, I'm going. It's like okay. So yeah.
Well,
Make lots
very,
of lemon balm syrup.
yeah, yeah, and calm
Yeah.
our nervous system. So
Yes.
that's
Yes.
so good. Coming back to the story a little bit, I think
Yeah.
so. This is a book that you read as a child. Do you come back to children's books that you read young, or was this a special experience?
Sometimes I do. There's a few like I don't have most of the books I had when I was a kid, but I managed to, save a few when my mom passed and I was going through her basement. And so, I have reread those and that was nice because again, it's, reconnecting with old friends. And it's interesting because the ones I managed to save, I don't know what happened to the ones I had when I was a kid. So these Catwings are new copies, but the ones that I saved out of the basement were mostly like how-to books and less like fiction books, which was interesting. It was just kind of by virtue of what happened to be there when I was grabbing things. But it was, like nature crafts for kids and, kids art books, like that kind of thing. So a lot of the fiction books, it's interesting because I don't remember every book I read as a kid, obviously, but I also don't have the copies anymore to remind me. So like once in a while, I'll be like bopping around doing my thing and I'll just happen to encounter one. I'll be like, oh, I wonder what that book was. Like I'm just like this memory pops in my head and I'll look it up and it's like re-encountering a friend. Or
Mhm.
I'll be over at a friend's house and they like have something on their shelf and I look at it and I'm like, oh right, like that from when I was a kid. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, very cool. What do we know about Ursula Le Guin? Have you read her other books?
I have read some of them. I read, I don't remember which were the first I read, but I did read a bunch like years ago, like I was like 20. And she actually has a really good book on the craft of writing too
Oh,
that I
okay.
read recently called Steering the Craft. And, I've always been hugely respected her writing. She herself is a really cool person. Like there's this famous quote by her about basically like we think capitalism can't be destroyed, but people thought that about the divine right of kings too, and look, like we were able to move past that and kind of build something new. I am paraphrasing her quote very poorly, but
Sounded good to
that idea.
me. Sounded good.
um Thank you. But she's great. She passed a few years ago, if memory serves. But yeah, her books for adults are very good and kind of have the same sort of like realistic, hopeful sort of tone to them, like where they ask you to imagine a new world. And I feel don't over explain things either. I mean, with a longer book, you have more space for world building, which she does, but she's never like sitting there and holding your hand and being like, here's every exact feature of the entire world, and here's this. And you're just like, okay, can we get it going here?
I wanted to ask, well, I'm very interested in checking out Steering the Craft by her. Would love to be a writer. Since I created this podcast, I joke, it's like, I love to talk too much to sit and be quiet for a long time. It's like my strength and my weakness. I love to read. I've read Bird by Bird and On Writing by Stephen
Mm.
King. Those are
Uh,
two of my favorite books. So I'm going to add this one to my writing suggestions book.
nice. Yeah, the Stephen King ones have been, I actually have them on my bookshelf downstairs right now, and they've been like on my list for a while, but I haven't read them yet. So.
Yes, it's really good. He's like so interesting. I mean, it's half his autobiography, but it's
Oh, cool.
yeah, but then he also just talks about the experience of becoming a writer and how hard it was, and I highly recommend.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask before we end talking about the book, was there anything else that you wanted to touch on with the story or with any of Ursula Le Guin, any of that?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like if we start talking about her, I mean, we could be here for hours because she has like such like a rich body of work. But I do want to say one thing about the story, which is the cats. So you have the original Catwings, and then as they go through, you meet other cats. So there's wonderful Alexander.
Now, does he
Wings.
doesn't have
He
wings.
doesn't have wings, but
Okay.
he's a wonderful Alexander cat. And he's a orange cat who gets out and he's, oh, I'm amazing. Everybody thinks I'm amazing. But then he's kind of confronted with the same natural spaces the other cats were in. And he has to navigate that. And these cats like help him do that. So they make a new friend there, but they also have another sister that you meet in Catwing's Return, which is,
This
and she's this tiny,
illustrations are
yeah,
amazing.
they're so good. And so she's this tiny little cat
Oh,
named Jane. And so so we want to go see our mom. And so they come back. And when they do, they meet this kitten. Like the mom was like not able to get back to the kitten. There's like a whole story about that. And they rescue the kitten, find where the mom is. Everybody's happy, and then they bring the kitten back with them to their place. But the kitten has had like she's not verbal at first, and it actually takes wonderful Alexander, the other cat, so he like gets her out of her shell more. So yeah, so it's like an evolving story. And then there's the
hmm.
fourth book is Jane on her own, and it's about Jane the cat, just like
Okay.
her story. So
So we're both very pro cat.
yes.
Do you have cats?
I do. And so in the US, I have five cats, a lot of cats.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. And they're very sweet. I have a very kind, cat loving roommate there who
Okay.
looks after them when I'm away. So,
Okay. I love it. I have one. Sometimes she comes in here. I think because my family's around, they're
yeah,
entertaining her right now.
she's like, no, I'm good.
Yes. You know, I was not a cat person until we got the cat, and I always thought I was a dog person.
Yeah.
And I don't know, she won me over. They're just the best. They're so easy and they're so cute. I mean,
Yeah.
she's insane, but
Yeah.
she's also. The greatest cat alive.
Yeah, no, they're wonderful and they're like very affectionate, which I think,
Hmm.
there's like this, I don't know, stereotype of cats not being, and I'm like, they're really loving.
Yeah, they are very, and they can be really playful and silly
Mhm.
and goofy. I love, she like sometimes she'll stretch out so far on the bed and then she falls off the bed.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Um,
absolutely. People who say that cats aren't affectionate are wrong.
right.
Uh,
Yeah. They just don't know. They
they
just
don't,
don't know.
I don't know. Finishing up Cat Wings, who would we
Mhm.
recommend this story for?
I mean, I honestly, I don't know, I would recommend it for anybody who either, I don't know, either already has a very strong sense of wonder and whimsy, or maybe somebody who needs it. Like, because it's like, it's hard to not fall in love with these characters, right? And it's like, you get really invested in them in the short. How many pages even is this? 38 pages of this
Uh-huh.
story.
Yeah.
but like you're very invested in these characters just
Yes.
within that short period. And so I think for maybe somebody who's kind of feeling like, I don't know, down and not whimsical, I think it would be helpful. But I think
Mhm.
also for like people who are like, yeah, I'm full of whimsy, got so much whimsy, they would love it too.
Yeah, yeah, and fall right into this world with these adorable
Hmm.
sweet cats. Yeah, I fancy myself
Yeah.
a whimsical person, but
Likewise. I mean, obviously, like my favorite book is about cats with wings. So,
every day is an adventure.
yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely.
I wanted to take a few minutes to talk just about you and where we can find you and what you've got coming up next.
So, I've got my own books. My most recent ones actually have here. I have one on librarianship that I co authored with my dissertation advisor, which is Underserved Patrons in University Libraries.
Okay.
And so that's an edited volume with lots of really cool folks in it. But for my food books, I have the Fermentation Oracle, which is an oracle deck, but about fermentation.
Okay.
Our Fermented Lives, which is the global history of fermentation. And I have one coming out in May of next year called The Essential Preserving Handbook. And it's, I don't remember how many hundreds of pages it is, but hundreds of pages of food preserving, recipes, best practices, etc. And it's aimed to be kind of like a comprehensive guide. And if it doesn't cover the thing you need, it gives you where to go to find that thing.
Okay.
So, and I have a part of it, like my librarian brain kicked in because there's so many not trustworthy sources out there for food preserving.
Uh-huh.
And so I actually have a section in the back of the book that's like evaluating food preserving resources and like how to do a quick test, like quick check of, is this something I can actually trust?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's like that's not existent. That doesn't exist in a lot of cookbooks and is so important, especially for things like canning.
I mean, it can be really dangerous if you don't do it correctly.
Yeah, and there's this whole thing right now of folks who are call themselves like rogue canners. And basically it's just like, oh yeah, just like very like vibes your way through canning. And I'm like, no, like there's some things you can vibes your way through, but like canning is not one of them. Like
Yeah.
it's not it's easy to do it safely if you like know how to do it safely. But if you're learning from somebody that's like not teaching you how to, yeah, like it could be a problem.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Absolutely. I'm hoping, I don't know. I mean, this is just total Pollyanna of me, but I feel like the internet is dead. I feel like people with common sense can go
Yeah.
and see how much proliferation there is of information that's just not even based on fact. It's just somebody trying to get
Hmm.
followers or views or whatever. And I'm hopeful that there will be a turn to people looking to factual sources on things like what you're talking
Yeah.
about. People like you who know what you're talking about and will give you correct information.
I sure hope so. It's a bit of an uphill battle because a lot of people now also ask like Gen AI models for things like canning advice, and that's terrible too. If anybody's listening to this and thinking about doing that, please don't. Like just email me and ask me and I'll send you links to what you need.
Yes. Yeah. And I mean, librarians are such amazing resources just so people No, like you just said, you can email a librarian and they will help you find a credible source. I mean, I do it on my professional job all the time, and you don't have to just turn to AI. I mean, it's wild to me that people do it, but I see it as well.
I've never used any of those models because I don't see a use case that like justifies them. And so
Mhm.
it's I'm just like, what? Like I can just ask other people or experience the joy of learning a thing. Like I don't like I don't
I
know.
know. I see it in like local like parent groups on Facebook, and someone
Mm,
will ask a question, and then someone will be like, "This is what ChatGPT said." I was like,
right.
well,
You're
I
like,
think they're asking for people's experience on this subject, not what
right.
ChatGPT said.
Yeah, no, that's funny. But yeah, I see that too, like in some food groups and stuff. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's the books.
Okay.
The classes, the Culinary Curiosity School is the name of my online school. And that is culinarycuriosityschool.com. And then all my Instagram handles, which there are many. That one is culinary.curiosity.school. But that has self-paced online courses. I do private lessons, all kinds of stuff. I can do like corporate wellness events virtually and in person, that kind of thing. And I do like author talks at libraries virtually and in person too. I always, obviously love speaking at libraries. So,
Yeah.
and for the writing coaching, that's so for the fall is usually when I do a lot of the writing and creative coaching stuff because a lot of people are like either back in school or kind of getting back from summer and kind of getting back into like their own projects a bit.
Mhm.
So on the 21st, I have two programs starting. One is a 7-day guided meditation and reflection practice one called Radical Creators. And that's nice because it's something to kind of just get you in touch with your own creativity rather than like me telling you what your creativity looks like. I also have Bloom, which is an 8-week writing workshop, but it's not a craft writing workshop. It's about building a sustainable practice. So like finding time in your days, setting goals that are not overwhelming, but still help you actually get stuff done, reconnecting with the pleasure of your work, all that kind of stuff. And my agent and my marketer for my publisher are also guests in there. So you can like talk to them too, which is great.
If you're in, yeah, for sure for those
Yeah.
writers out there. Awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. And then other, I mean, I've always got tons of other stuff and I do private sessions with that too. I'm trying to think if there's anything else coming up. I think that's it for the next month. So
Okay. You're pretty busy. You're pretty
yeah,
busy.
I would like to stay busy.
Yes. Well, I am impressed. And on that note, thank you for taking the time on this beautiful Saturday. I hope you get to enjoy your time at the beach and then in the sauna. It's going to be beautiful.
Yeah, it's going to be great. And thank you so much for having me.
Oh my gosh, this has been a pleasure. I've had so much fun, learned so much. I'm gonna be internet stalking you now, like learning about preserving myself. So this is great.
Amazing.
There you go. All right, thank you, Julia.
Yeah.
Thank you for spending some time with me and my guests for an episode of Drinks in the Library. For more information about the show, you can find us on Instagram at Drinks in the Library, on the World Wide Web, drinksinthelibrary.com, or shoot me an email at drinkspod@gmail.com. Until next time, cheers.